managing change process, and we're looking at two writers here called Kotter and Schlesinger, 4 reasons for resistance to change. Now this is quite complex theory compared to the old AQA syllabus, and it's not likely that you're going to have an exam question that says outline Kotter's and Schlesinger's 4 reasons for resistance to change. You're more likely you're going to be thrown a case study, and in that case study there needs to be change. So you can look at those. So the first one in there is parochial self-interest, in the fact that people will resist change. Parochial self-interest will resist change if it does not give them an advantage, or if they're going to lose something, then they're going to resist that change. Secondly, people just may not understand the whole change process. What are we changing for? I don't get it. What's going on here? I don't understand what we're aiming for, and at the same time it may cost them more than they will actually gain. The third one is different assessments. And when people look at the change, they may look at it and say, well, you think it's going to work, but you're not on the shop floor, and so I don't think it's going to work, so I'm not going to be part of that change process. And the fourth one is there is a low tolerance of change, is that most people do not like change, so the managers automatically are going to go up against it. And Peter Drucker, the famous management consultant, says basically is the reasons why these change programs don't work is the managers themselves will not change. So you need to hold this as a basis, and as a manager in your head you need to understand that people will resist it for these reasons. I think this one's a pretty important one here, is that, you know, the people on the shop floor might just say, hang on, that's not going to work. They haven't spoken to us. They haven't looked at the situation yet. They haven't communicated it to us, and I'm telling you that this process is not going to work. So there we go, Kotter and Schlesinger's 4 reasons for resistance to change. John Kotter, we've just been speaking about Kotter and Schlesinger, and the force for change, how leadership differs from management. And here are sort of 8 rules about what you should not do, and presumably this is all about what a leader should do. So they're really the opposite of each other. So the first one here is avoid complacency, failure to build a substantial coalition, failure to communicate a clear vision, failure to communicate that vision and understand the need for a clear vision, so a need for a clear idea. Permitting roadblocks against that vision, not planning for short-term gains, far too slow, and not looking at change in terms of corporate culture. So not instigating change from there. So what you need to do is you need to establish a very clear sense of urgency for the organisation, create a coalition of ideas, establish a vision, share that vision with everyone, empower people to clear obstacles, solve the short-term issues, consolidate and keep moving, and anchor change within the corporate culture of the firm, and then you're going to get that firm moving forward. Thank you. And I suppose leadership is all about a force for change, and it differs from management because you need to do all of these things to be a good leader. Okay, this is lesson 80, and Kotter's and Schlesinger's 6 ways of overcoming resistance. And I'm just going to go through them first of all, and then I'm going to give you a little talk about them all. So you can educate and communicate to the workers. You can make sure you can participate them. You can make sure that they can participate in the change process. You can facilitate and support them and train them up in the right process. You can negotiate with certain people. If they're not willing to negotiate, then you can manipulate certain people and co-opt them onto various committees. Or finally, explicit and implicit coercion. You're just saying, right, this is what we're going to do, and we've got to do it in this way, and we've got to do it as quickly as possible. Now, what they're saying is that managers need to be really insightful as to which of these methods that they're going to use, and that will depend upon the manager and also the situation the firm is in, and also the situation of the workforce. So educate and communication. So if there's a lack of information that the workers don't really understand why they need to change, then this is the one that you would use. And And once persuaded, then hopefully people will back the change, but it's time consuming. Now, that all depends upon the size of the organisation a little bit. If it's a very, very big organisation, then it's going to be very, very difficult to change. I'm thinking here of Anthony Jenkins and Barclays Bank. You know, they've got 90,000 employees or whatever, so it's going to take them a long time. But if you're a fairly small organisation, then it should be possible to get the information across quite quickly. Participation and involvement, because the people who are doing the change may not have the right skills, so you may rely on the workers to help you up. Initiators do not have all of the power and knowledge to implement that change. That will be very, very motivating for the workers, and it's going to be very time consuming, but it could be very time consuming, and the people who are creating the change may design an inappropriate change from there. So you've got to tell them what to do, obviously. Thirdly, you can support them, because people may resist change because they don't know how to use the IT equipment or something like that. So there's going to be adjustment problems in, that's a situation you would use that, and can be expensive and still fail in that process. Some group has a lot of power, so therefore you need to negotiate with them and come to an agreement about what needs to happen. So this will hopefully avoid major resistance, and you may not, it could be expensive, and you may negotiate for compliance, so you may not negotiate the full picture of what you're trying to do. Manipulation and co-option, other tactics will not work. So if you manipulate and co-opt, then all of these may have failed. So therefore you say, right, well, will you come on board? We're going to give you some more money, and this is how it's going to work. It may be a quick and actually an inexpensive solution because you get people on board, but then people may feel manipulated and they may go against the whole system. Finally, is you coerce them. You just say, right, this is what we're going to do, and speed is essential. Quick decisions overcomes resistance. Can be risky. It leaves people mad at the initiators. Okay. So that's it on there. Right. Happy with all of that? And Kotter's and Schlesinger's 6 ways of overcoming resistance.